I lived a lifestyle that was just horrible lifestyle. I was a drug addict and a prostitute. And you name it, I was it. I hated people. And in 1995, I finally gave it up. And I'm telling you, from the day I got baptized in 1996, I just felt this sense of freedom. That peace would just overwhelm me.
Welcome to the Midweek Motivation Podcast, where we bring practical help for your faith and life. Here's today's episode.
Hi, guys. Welcome to this week's Midweek Motivation. My name is Jess, and I'm one of the pastors at Westside Community Church, and I am here with my friend Donna. And we are talking about peace today, like the kind of peace that you just can't lose. And one of the reasons why I thought about Donna is because I've heard her testimony so many times. And just the way that she talks about God and the way that she lives her life and just bubbles over with enthusiasm and joy all the time. Peace makes me think of you, Donna.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering why you asked me, but okay.
I think it's awesome. So thanks for joining me. It's really great to be able to be here with you and have this conversation.
Yes, I'm very appreciated that you did ask. I mean, it gives me the chance to share my strength and my hope in Jesus and His peace.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, well, so we're talking about peace because it's the holiday season, it's Christmas season, and one of the things that we know that we can count on that is a result of Christmas is the peace that we get in Jesus. And we had this conversation, or Pastor Gabe talked about this on Sunday. And so I wanted to talk with you because, like I said, you exemplify this, like you live this out in your life. And so I'm just curious if you'd be willing to share a little bit about when you discovered your peace in Jesus and what life was like at the time, and how did you discover it? How did you discover your peace?
Well, that's it's kind of ironic because of the fact, I lived a lifestyle that was just horrible lifestyle. I was a drug addict and a prostitute, and you name it, I was it. I hated people and I had a destructive life, and I never ever felt any peace. Even when I was growing up, my house was a chaos, and I never knew who Jesus was. And my sister, of all people, prayed for 10 years for me to get out of that lifestyle. And in 1995, I finally gave it up. And I'm telling you, from the day I got baptized in 1996, because it took me a year to find out who Jesus was, because I was always in other groups, to get myself cleaned and get an apartment and all that, be a productive member of society. But I remember the day that I got baptized. It was like in 1996, I was in a pool at my pastor's house in California. And I remember like the next whole week, I just felt this sense of freedom. Like I just, there was all this chaos happening behind me because I was trying to, stay clean and do the due diligence that I needed to, getting jobs and stuff. And that peace would just overwhelm me. I don't know what it was, just something inside me that just drew me closer to Jesus and wanted to know more about Jesus and what this was about, who He was about, because I was a baby Christian. And, but, through the years, of course, you struggle, you live life, and you do what you got to do. And I actually came here in 98, and I was only a few years clean, right? So I jumped into a church and did everything I possibly could to get more closer. I got me a mentor. I went to a lot of Bible studies. I read my word, and I journaled and journaled and journaled. And then chaos happened in 2006, and I married a man that was a Jekyll and Hyde, and he had an evil side to him. And with that said, man, did I go through double stock hockey sticks. I could just say so much, so much was going on, him going to prison and my daughter, going to foster care and then me going to jail and all that. But I remember distinctly being in that 8x8 cell. And I was, believe me, I've done, plenty of time in the past. I did 5 years. And so I knew what this was about, but I felt in that cell just rejoicing and giving everything to God. He just overwhelmed me with the peace there. I kind of felt like Paul, being in the prison cell and just rejoicing and knowing that he was going to take care of everything. And he did. So he walked me through that whole time. And then, I just hung on to him and had that foundation and just kept holding on to him. That was the only way I knew how, was just to hold on to him. So as I grew in my faith and I grew that foundation under my feet, I felt, okay, I will get that peace back, even though I go through struggles and I want to hide and I want to get, under the covers and not even come out of bed. But, you got to push yourself. You got to put your mind into a different perspective and you got to look at things and be grateful for what you got. And that's how I did things for a long time. And then I lost my husband in 2015. So there was another huge impact in my life. And I just wanted to hide then too. But he never let me. He never let go of me. So I just kept holding on to that, his cloak and just walking with him. So, it wasn't like I was all, peachy keen and happy and go lucky. I mean, I just had to fake it till I made it. You know what I mean? I just had to hold on to him because there was no other way.
So when you I think that you make a really excellent point in the fact, and Gabe talks about this on Sunday too. The fact is that even when we look at the Bible and we really dive in and also gain experience in our walk with Jesus, nowhere in the Bible are we ever promised that life is going to be simple after we accept him into our lives, or that we're not going to run into any kind of complications or troubles in our life, or that all of our problems are going to be solved just because we've decided to follow Jesus, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it does promise us that in all of those things, we're going to have peace. Can you go back to any of those circumstances or situations that you were in and think through or share what it was that helped you to hold on to Jesus's cloak and feel that peace when you were experiencing chaos?
Well, for me, it was keeping that connection, keeping my eyes focused on him. And even though I was battling and struggling and hurting very, very badly, I mean, I can remember driving to work one day and I was just in tears and just bawling and asking the Lord to help me. And I was going through this drive, and you have to go up a mountain in order to get to her house. And I just remember just this overwhelming sensation that he was, just like caressing my heart was what he was doing. And that peace that just he gave me at that moment. And he said to look around and just look at his beauty. And that's what I did. And, he just gives me these little doses, as I am either driving or I'm sitting in my quiet time and I'm just crying out to him. And this is the worst time of the year for me because, I lost my daughter in 2020 and her birthday was November 4th and it starts on November 4th. And I just can't stop the tears, and I can't stop the ache in my heart, but he caresses it. And I just pick myself up and live one day at a time with him. That's how I managed to hold on to him, and he gives me those doses of peace. So I know he never leaves me or forsakes me, and he's always with me.
we talked a little bit on Sunday, and you were sharing with me about how you were wrestling because of this time of year, and and that you didn't actually really want to be at church, but you got up, and that was surprising to me because you always come and you always give me the biggest hug, and you always have the best smile and the most energy whenever you're engaging with me. And so when you were telling me that you were struggling and having a hard time, I was kind of surprised by it, to be honest. But you said this really special thing, and it was that you just needed to get up and you just needed to show up. And so what like makes you consistently do that in these times when you're having a hard time?
Well, when I first wake up in the morning, I just welcome and I ask and I just tell the Lord, good morning, Holy Spirit, good morning, Jesus, good morning. And I put my feet on the ground and I get my coffee and go do my time with him. That's my habit, that I don't never give up on that. I take everything to him first in the morning. Mm-hmm. And once I start my day that way, he gives me the strength. He's the one that gets me to get up and go and do what I need to do, because I need to be surrounded by people, because I'm a very, very extrovert, and I'm over the top extrovert, and I need people in my life, and that's why I choose the women that I want to be around to guide me and help me, and I can call any of them during the week when I'm struggling. I was struggling this week, and thank the Lord, Lacey picked up the phone, because she was there for me and prayed over me, and that you have to do those things, even though I was sitting at Home Depot just bawling on my eyeballs out, and I was just like, and he's saying, call. You need to call. And those little whispers, you need to call somebody instead of just staying stuck. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, you got to look at it as it's going to get better. It's going to be better. I mean, you might be going through this little turmoil right now, and your season's going to get better. So that's how I look at it. And I just, because he knows my future. He knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And, and I leave that in his hands, because there's no control of what I can do except be submissive, and be, dedicated to him. Yeah.
That takes a lot of trust though, doesn't it?
Yes, it takes a lot of trust. Yeah, and that was one thing I was telling myself, if I didn't trust Jesus, I don't know where I would have been. I don't know what, especially through that whole time period, and when I was battling with my husband that was molesting my daughter. I'm just surprised I didn't go out and use again, or the death of my husband. Not go out and use it, or the death of my daughter. I mean, I never even thought of that. They didn't even come to mind, because I knew I needed to hold on to Jesus, because any kind of destruction like that in your life, that impact just makes your mind want to give up.
Yeah.
And what good does it do if you give up? It doesn't do you any good. You're right. Yeah. I don't want to be right back where I was. So trusting him and really letting him put the foundation under my feet and solid rock, and walk on that and go with it. I think that's what makes my life. It just it makes me. I thank him for the breath of life every day, because I shouldn't even be here. I was left for dead at one point. I could have rotted in prison. I could have, all those things could have been me. And thank the Lord, he pulled me out and he saved me. And I give him all the credit and all the glory, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here.
That's awesome.
Hey, just jumping in right in the middle of this podcast episode to tell you about a resource that you need in your life. If you feel ever stuck in your faith, or if you feel like, I want to grow my faith, but I just don't quite know what the steps are, we got a resource for you called Sticky Faith in a Slippery World. I mean, this world is changing and it's crazy, and we all need something firm to stand on. And I wrote a book for you called Sticky Faith in a Slippery World. You can get your copy right now at the link in the description.
Can you share a little bit about like how you've grown in your faith and experienced that peace and transformation in your life? And you've kind of touched on this stuff, but I think the question I'm asking is, so I've had somebody ask me before, what is it that allows me to trust in Jesus? Because there are so many times when there are so many unknowns, so many times when something comes up and we haven't had an experience with God, so we don't know what the end result is going to be. And so my question for you is, like, from the time that you began your faith journey with Jesus until now, like, can you share a little bit about how your faith has grown into what it is now, and how your trust has grown with that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can relate to that, because I know it took a lot of me to trust, because I didn't trust anybody, because the lifestyle I lived and the way I lived, I didn't trust anybody. And from those baby steps, becoming a Christian and working my way up through the years, for me, it was trust him, or you're going to go on a wrong path. That's how I looked at it. If I didn't follow this way, I was going to go down an ugly road again. So I had to put that through the years, trust him more and trust him more and trust him more. And then this walk that I've been doing all this time, I can look back and I can see where he's pulled me out of so many things and has brought me to where I'm at today. Because he gave me the tools, he gave me people, he gave me my churches, he gave me, where I was supposed to be and what time frame in my life, where I was supposed to be and who I was supposed to meet. And, it's just a journey that I was thinking about it today. And I was like, Lord, how many years now have I been off drugs? And I calculated, and in January 28th will be 30 years. I'm going to go pick up my chip.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's like, and I share my testimony a lot. I don't, I'll share it in the grocery store with somebody, but it's amazing because they look at me and they just look at me like, you're lying, because they don't see that in me. They don't see that the person I was before, they can't even fathom that no way you've done that. And it's just the transformation that Jesus does. Like he says, he'll cleanse you from the inside out. And that's what he's done for me. I mean, I think about how awful I was, and I think, man, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. God didn't create me to be that way. He created me to be this way. So, yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
Pretty awesome.
So then over the years, one of the things that Gabe talked about on Sunday is the fact that peace comes from Jesus, right? But that starts from the moment that we accept Jesus into our lives and allow him to start that process with us, right? But then after we receive that peace from God, then that peace actually flows in us, and it roots in us, and then it flows through us. So I'm wondering if you would be willing to share how having peace has affected your relationship with other people. Because you touched on it right now. Like, you'll share your story with anyone, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of dealing with people that maybe you had a history with at some point in time and had to reconcile with, how have you seen God move through that stuff as well?
Oh yeah. There's multiple times where, I had a really good friend that I worked for, and I started cleaning for him, and we became really good friends. I mean, really close. And then all of a sudden, she accused me of doing something that I didn't do, and boy, it was heart-wrenching. It broke my heart that she would believe something like that, and and accused me of doing something in that sort. And it just broke our relationship up. I mean, just really bad. And it was awful. I cried for months. And then finally she called me and just said, I was wrong. And she wanted to come over, and she apologized, and I forgave her, and we both, until this day, we're best. She's moved out of the state, but we still talk at least every 2 weeks. And that, I think she was a Christian woman as well. But she never went to church. She was one of those believers that felt that, she didn't have to go to church because she was hurt by the church before, but she loves Jesus.
Sure. Yeah.
And, and I have tried to, talk with her and in regards to, everybody needs a church. I mean, I look at it
community.
It's a community. Sure. It's what it is. It's a community. You got to go out in the community and share your love with others and get fed. But that time frame when she came to me and she asked, we cried and we held each other and I can feel that we both had the peace about that situation, that it didn't happen. And she was very grateful, and she was very, very remorseful, very, very sorry that she accused me of it. But that's taken place in my life. And I think that peace just, overflows from me to others because of the fact they see it. They see that I'm not, because I didn't have to forgive her. I could have been angry or mad and kept resented her for that. But I didn't. I did exactly what I knew I needed to do, because if Jesus forgives us, we have to forgive our brothers and sisters.
Right. Yeah.
So,
it goes both ways too, right? Like when we run into a situation, like I've had situations where I've engaged where like I've been at fault, you know what I mean? And then had to like restore a relationship out of like humbly and, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just thinking of an scenario that I had to do that myself to a friend. I had to humble myself and ask for forgiveness because I was really bad. I said some nasty things, and that wasn't right.
Yep, I've been there as well. I think that there's an interesting thing that comes through that transformation where God is building up peace in us when He's restoring us and renewing our minds and all that stuff that opens up our eyes when we are staying connected, like you said, and allows us to see those things a little bit more clearly. And for me personally, it causes me to pause and reflect on a situation and then come back to it and be able to be like, hey, like I need to, apologize for this situation and be able to have that dialogue in the way that God would call us to have it instead of.
Exactly.
Sense.
And it's so true. It's just, I look at my life and I think to myself, I'm so blessed. I'm overly blessed. I mean, He gives me an abundance, he just does. Even if it's not just finances, it's being here at the house and having a roof over my head. And, I lived on the streets for 20 years, so that's a huge impact on me to have a roof over my head and be able to physically go to work and have all my, my health from all the addiction that I ruined my body, but He restored it because I have no elements. No, I don't have, I've never been operated on. And man, I tell you, it's a miracle for me. It's a miracle how God pulled me out of that. So,
well, thank you so much for being willing to share your story and your time. And you're such a blessing to me, Donna. I like your shining face whenever I see it. It's encouraging and uplifting.
So sweet. Thank you. I
love it. And so thanks so much. I really appreciate your time and just your work and all the things that you do to lift people up. But thanks for being here.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Midweek Motivation. To make sure you don't miss any content in the future, please subscribe, share, and if you enjoyed this, give us a like, and consider popping by a Westside service some weekend. You can find out more at westsidecommunitychurch.com.